What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. I'm super pumped to introduce my next guest to you today. He's a sales trainer, he's a mentor, he's an entrepreneur with over 10 years experience in the e-commerce and online marketing space. He's built his international business from scratch, and he helps multiple multi-million dollar e-commerce companies 10x their businesses through his systems and strategies. He also mentors new and long-term entrepreneurs to grow further and helps them achieve their goals and realize their dreams. So please welcome to the show, Christian Rauchenwald.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. It's really my pleasure to be here and to share some of the things that I've learned over the past now almost 15 years.
Yeah, for sure, man. I really appreciate you being here and taking some time out of your day. Hopefully to share some of your experience and some of your knowledge, stories and everything that you got from your journey as an entrepreneur. And, as I do with a lot of my guests, I was doing a little research on you before we got started. And you actually had mentioned that you were living the 4-hour work week lifestyle during some time that you spent in Thailand and the Philippines. And I'd love to hear more about that, a little bit more about that story.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, why not? So it started out of how to say that, like the need to get away. Yeah. So, if you want to start your own business, or if you want to become an entrepreneur, you will have to learn to deal with setbacks and failure. It's like very rarely that whatever you start doing will or that you will succeed on the first try. And it's crucial to deal with those setbacks and also to own up to your mistakes. Now, I'm currently 32 years old, and back then when I was roughly 22, I screwed up a little bit or a little big, depending on how you look at it. And so within my first business in Austria, I had some issues with the IRS. Yeah. So the thing was, I had to pay some money back that I didn't have at the moment, and staying in Austria was not the solution that I was dreaming of. So basically back then I made what turns out afterwards was the right solution, but for most cases probably is a mistake, because I picked the solution to run away. I simply jumped on a plane, flew to Thailand, never been to that country, don't speak the language, just booked a hotel for a week, landed there, and then found an apartment there, and basically rebuilt my life from there by, first of all, taking a little bit time off and relax and just to calm down and sort everything, and then work remotely from Thailand, where living is quite cheap compared to Europe or the US, or was. Nowadays it's not that much different anymore. And basically worked for European clients, charging them European hourly rates, and used that money to pay back the debt that I had at the speed that I decided, instead of having the IRS force me to, they can go into your bank account and just take the money when it comes in. So basically, that's what caused my 4-hour work week to happen. It was very, very lack of knowledge and some bad luck, but mostly my mismanagement that made my first business close to an absolute failure, and led to me go that way and to turn it around. Gaining that distance was very crucial for me. And actually, my time in Thailand was one of the best times in my life, but not because living is cheap, and even if you don't earn $10,000 per month, you can live like a king, but mostly because it taught me one of the biggest lessons I've ever had to learn. Up until the point that I went to Thailand, like most people out there, I was under the misbelief that in order to be happy, I needed more money. I see that nowadays. So now I'm debt free for a couple of years, and I have a stable income or stable revenue and stuff like that. But I see that nowadays in a lot of people that still have debt. Doesn't matter if it's only their mobile phone that they're paying off in installments, or if it's a huge student loan. But somehow people keep telling themselves that more money would solve the problem and make them happy. And I learned the lesson in Thailand, seeing super rich next to super poor, and both being truly happy. And that's where it just occurred to me that money is not the solution. It's not the key to happiness. Money, however, provides you with safety. Money enables you, when you miss your flight, that you just book the next available flight without caring how much it costs, or that you book an expensive hotel and wait for the next cheap flight next day or something. Or also when you have a long distance relationship, that you can just like fly every week to see or every weekend to see your partner. So money is basically just like a safety net, but it will never make you happy. And that's really like learning that lesson changed my life. That really was like the biggest takeaway from my time in Thailand, in a third world country where people basically live off like $200 per month or less and work 7 days a week.
That's awesome, man. And you know, it's really interesting that you bring that up. And I appreciate that insight, you know, because it's true. Money doesn't provide any happiness, right? It's simply a tool to buy you the things that may make, you know, your existence a little happier. But really, it's all a mindset. And I've never been to Thailand, but I have heard that, you know, there is that stark contrast of those that have and those that don't have. And it's like literally like you'll have, you know, like you said, multi-million-dollar homes right next to like the slum. And I mean, again, I've never been there, but I have to imagine that seeing that, you know, that stark contrast really does hit home, like what money can do for you. But it's also beautiful what you mentioned, the fact that a lot of those people that don't have anything are still blissful. They're still happy. They're still living a life that they love, you know? So money isn't what creates that. It's the mindset. And, you know, what you mentioned too about like, if I only had a little bit more money, right? This idea of if I only had more money, I'd be happy. Well, the reality is you're living a lifestyle right now that is above your means. That's the only reason why you're thinking I need more money, right? Because you're living a life that's already above your means. If you get more money, your lifestyle is also going to go up because you're constantly in this, you know, in this mindset of thinking you always need more. So reality is even if you get more money, you'll never have enough. You have to change the mindset first. So, you know, I appreciate that you said that. And that's an interesting story for sure that, you know, going into business, obviously as a young person, you don't have all the knowledge and the skills that it takes, you know, necessarily to manage your finances and, you know, manage the business. And like, there's a lot more things that go into business than just selling something to somebody. So I could see how that could be an issue. And at that age, you know, I don't blame you for taking a plane and getting out of there. Sometimes that's the best thing, you know, we can do for ourselves is remove ourselves from the situation. Because like you say, a little bit of distance, it gives you another perspective. It gives you, you know, more insight into the problem. And sometimes that's exactly what we need to find a solution.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, like for me, it was like gaining the how to say, wiggle room, you know, like again, like if I would have stayed, it's not like, I think most people that start a business that get to the step that they want to start a business and then it doesn't work out the way they planned it, they give up. Yeah. And I actually picked my Ken word today quite wrong because usually there hangs a quote from Thomas Edison stating, I did not fail, I just found 10,000 ways that don't work or that won't work. Yeah. And it's all about not giving up. And like, for me, it was like, back then it was simply, if I would have stayed in Austria, I would have still worked hard to keep my business going, but I wouldn't have the control to decide how much do I pay back on the taxes that I owed and actually still be able to pay the suppliers that I needed for software services and stuff like that. And by removing myself from there, I solved that problem and I still worked hard, like for the first couple of months in Thailand to get things sorted out. And after that, I basically, because I realized for myself that money doesn't make me happy, and you're totally right, it's about the mindset that you need to like stop comparing yourself with others and try to or stop being influenced by media and Instagram that keeps telling you that you need a car like that. Yeah. And then I switched to a lifestyle where literally I basically I checked my bank account, and if it was like way beyond like a couple $1,000, I just enjoyed life. And when I saw that it was going like slower down, I just took on another project for a week or something and worked a week, maybe two, and then I relaxed 2 months straight again. Yeah. And it was a great time. I made a lot of friends there. In retro perspective, like now that I'm focusing a lot on building my passive income, it's like mixed feelings because that time could have been used for hard work to, you know, like be one step ahead now. But it is what it is. And I don't want to miss it. I had like some of the best experiences in my life during that time in Thailand and on the Philippines. So
absolutely. And you know, the reality is I mean, you were at a different place at that point, you know, like now, like you said, you've gained a bigger vision, you know, and you've got now drive to create something bigger, you know, but that's now. I mean, back then life may have been about
Exactly.
something else, you know, and like you say, the experiences that you gained along the way, the friends that you made, like that can't be replaced. So everything happens in time, you know, and I believe that it all happens, you know, for a reason to some degree. We need to
Yes.
be where we're at. So let's talk about, though, how you got started as an entrepreneur and in business, because obviously you've been doing this for a long time. Is this something that you've always wanted to do? Like, did you ever have like a regular job? I mean, how did this all start for you?
Well, to answer your second question first, yeah, so over the past 15 years, I worked as an employee for a total of maybe, if you sum up all together, for maybe like 6 months. And it was usually when my business was so bad that I needed to. So even though like I'm really like untalented with things that don't include a computer, I worked as a waiter. I worked at a factory producing isolation for pipes. I really hated that. Had to show up at 6 in the morning, and like really, it was like for me physical hard work back then. I'm still skinny, but back then I was really really skinny, and so it was really exhausting. But it was, I needed to do it. It's like whatever it takes to keep funding the business, yeah, and not give up. And but the whole journey actually started when I was 16. I attended a school for what's it called in English? Technical computer science and internet engineering. And I was required to have like a 4-week internship to be allowed to attend the next grade,
Hmm.
and another 4 weeks for the year after that. And so because I was lazy back then, you know, like how teenagers are, like just enjoying the summers, and figured out that girls are actually good for something. Yeah. So I didn't really take care of finding a job at a IT company. So more or less last minute, my grandma, she knew this carpenter that basically ran his own small one-man business close to her house, and she got me an internship there. It's like, it's strange to me. It just proves that the educational system needs some improvement, because like you attend a school for computer science, but they even accept an internship at a carpenter, but okay. And he's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Yeah, there's a separate story we could do an interview about, to be honest. But there was this one thing, like, so I stayed with at my grandma's place during that summer because it was closer to that company. And I had to get up, I think at 6 or 6:30, or let it be a little later, doesn't matter, and show up there at 7:30 or something in the morning. And then I show up there, and then I have to work. And even if I'm hungry at 11, I'm not allowed to eat before that guy tells me, okay, now it's lunch break. Yeah? And I only, because it was like only him and me, and he went into his house to eat with his family, and I was like basically left alone. So all I had to do was like eat. So I ate in like 15 minutes, but I couldn't go back to work. I had to wait for him to finish his 1 hour lunch break to come back and tell me now the working time continues. Yeah. And he was, again, a very smart person and a perfectionist. And I remember one time we were installing a kitchen sink and stuff at a client's place of his. And the client actually had to throw us out at 10 p.m. because he was like, oh, I'm just going to finish this and I'm just going to finish that. And so at 10 p.m., like packing up everything, driving back to his company, and then like taking my bicycle and riding back to my grandma's house, having dinner, falling to bed. And the next day, after like 6 hours of sleep, the same shit, pardon my French, yeah, but the same stuff starts over again. And for me, I mean, for lack of a better phrase, yeah, really, because again, English is not my native language, but for me, it just felt like kind of like slavery. Yeah, like somebody else tells me when I need to be there, when I'm allowed to be hungry, when I'm allowed to go home. Yeah, and in the end, like if he does his business right, he makes the huge profits, and he basically just gives you like, okay, there's some scraps, so you can have a roof over your head, and you can have food, and maybe you can afford a little entertainment. Yeah. And that was the moment for me where I realized it later, but that was the moment where for me, I decided I'm not going to work for others. Like, that's like, if I have to, if it really needs to be, yes. But other than that, I will make every sacrifice necessary to stay my own boss, because that freedom, even though I've had times where really like there was like only spaghetti with ketchup for weeks. Yeah. And I didn't even know how to pay for them. Yeah. So, and but I had the freedom. I had the freedom to decide. I get up at this time, I work that many hours. And usually it meant I worked more than the average employee, but I also knew that I did it for myself. I knew that when I get something right, when I approach the right client, when I develop the right tool or something like that, that I will be the one that makes the big money. Again, back then I had the mindset I need more money to be happy. Yeah? And so that was my defining moment to focus on building my own business. Yeah.
That's really cool, man. I love that story because it really illustrates the exact same thing that I went through with my job and the way that I,
carpenter.
you know, because I was working in construction for like 10 years. I'm still a certified electrician. And for the longest time, you know, I was doing that. I was waking up extremely early in the morning. I had to drive like an hour and a half to get to my job site. I was on the job with a bunch of people that didn't want to be there, right? So it's just a negative environment. And then after a long day of grinding out and, you know, doing heavy like labor work, I'd have to drive all the way back home through traffic, the whole thing. You get home late, you barely have time to eat, go to bed, get up and do it all over again. And like you say, I mean, you literally are a slave to that system, you know? And I think it's, I don't know, it's one of the main reasons why a lot of people are miserable, you know, that they don't know why they're miserable, but I really think that this is one of those reasons. You know, if you're in a job that just isn't fulfilling to you and you're not actually doing something that you're passionate about, then you're just going through the motions, right? And that job dictates, like you say, when to show up, what work you have to do, when you can eat, when you can leave. And it's, you know, you're not really in control of anything at that point. And I think that that's probably why a lot of the listeners that are here today are listening, is because they're looking for a way out. And I mean, you know, coming from your background, like you went to school for computer engineering, for technology, for internet, you know, like engineering, like this is like your time. I mean, that's actually a perfect background to have for the world that we live in today, right? With, you know, the digital landscape taking off, social media changing the way that we communicate and the way that we look for things and do business. I mean, now you got to feel like you're in a pretty good position with a good background, right? I mean, what are some things that are exciting you about this digital world that we live in?
Yeah, you actually figured wrong. Yeah, like, so I have all this IT background, but from what I've learned at school, for example, like I actually probably like used over the last at least 10 years, maybe 1%.
Oh, really?
Rest is simply, I have like this huge interest for not like technology in terms of like, you know, those guys that are nerdy about building their computers, but for some reason I like the whole e-commerce and online marketing area. Yeah. So I spend like, it's my passion. It's not like for other people to, oh, I show up for work and I have to do something I don't like. For me, it's like, it's not work. Like when I find an article that goes into like how to grow your YouTube channel, how to get more data out of your website visitors and stuff like that. For me, that's something that I want to know about. So I read it. It's not like, oh, I have to study this. And I also like kind of like I soak up that knowledge quite fast. But to be honest, like all this technical background that I have, yeah, there are like how to say, like projects or clients out there that I could serve with that. But in the end, if you are like a contractor or you charge your clients for the hours that you work, you're let's call it employee 2.0. You're not an entrepreneur, because if your business doesn't have a recurring revenue stream, you don't have a business. It's like, because you can have a client that pays you $10,000 per month, but you depend on that client. You can have 10 clients like that, but you will depend on them. If they, for some reason, don't want to work with you anymore, maybe their business goes bad or something, and you also don't have control, you know, like you can work for a company and they pay you $10,000 per month and you give them advice, the right advice, but for some reason the CEO of that company makes a different decision and it turns out you have been right. So he drives that company against the wall and there your $10,000 per month go. Yeah. So you are also not in control when you're working with clients. You need to think of like building passive income, finding ways where you put in huge effort in the beginning, and then at a certain point you can lean back a little, or if you continue putting in a lot of effort, it just piles up more. But even if you do nothing, that you still make money. Warren Buffett is the one that said, if you don't earn money while you sleep, you will work till you die. And there it doesn't matter if you're an employee or if you run a small business that's working on contract basis, like getting only paid for hours. Yeah. If you don't have a service where people pay you a monthly membership fee or a coaching or a master class or a mastermind or whatever it is, where you get your monthly fees, even if you're offline for 2 weeks, well, then you don't have a business that's kind of like will sustain you for the rest of your life. And you constantly will need to figure out who's the next client that you can serve and how can you get more out of your existing clients. So it's like you cannot then focus on actually creating better products or services because you will constantly be busy making sure that you keep your current revenue stream as high as it is and like only slowly increase it. So
I really like that. That's a good distinction, and it's true. Like if you're doing client base, you're basically the same as an employee where you're just trading your time for dollars. And as you say, you're not in control, right? Because if any number of things happens to that client, you lose that business. So what are some passive income type opportunities that people can leverage their experience to go out and attempt to do? Like what, in your opinion, what are some good ones that people could look into?
Well, I think nowadays, so looking back at the experience and all the mistakes I made along the way and thankfully didn't give up after making them, I have to say, like, if I could start from scratch again today or 6 months before, whatever, I would not start my own business where I have to provide a product or service, because this means that you need to figure out every part of running a business yourself in the beginning. Now, I would probably start with something like affiliate marketing, to be honest, because it's basically, you don't need your own product. You can promote the products or services of other people. And depending on the affiliate programs that you pick, you either get one-time payments or you get monthly recurring commission as long as they keep the client. So you don't have to deal with customer service. You don't have to deal with keeping the client on board. But all you have to do is like figuring out how to reach the people that need that product or service and promote it to them. Yeah. And this way you can build up your first passive income stream. And once your passive income stream is enough to cover, for example, your rent and your monthly bills, yeah, not your Lamborghini or stuff like that, but just the necessities, like the things you really need, then you can think about creating your own business or service. Doesn't matter if you then decide to become an affiliate marketer coach or if you do something totally different, but the benefit is you can then really focus on it without worrying that it needs to make money, because your rent and everything will be paid by the ongoing affiliate commission.
That's awesome. So for anybody listening that is not aware of what affiliate marketing is, it's really just being a salesperson for another company, right? And by doing so, you get paid commissions for selling their product or service. And it is, I agree with you. It's a fantastic way to start a business or a side hustle. If you're in a job right now, it's a fantastic way to start that passive side income stream. And I'm glad you brought this up, because there are a lot of companies out there that offer really good affiliate commissions, to their people. And the whole thing is, like you said, you don't have customer service. You don't have to do any of the follow-up. You don't have to do any of the actually delivering the service or the product. Like all of that is handled by the business that you're working with. All you have to do is go find the people that, are in need of that solution. So it is a great way to get into it, and without having to learn everything all in the beginning, like you mentioned. You can get started building some kind of income stream that can then allow you the freedom to start looking at other opportunities that are out there. So I agree. I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that when you're an affiliate marketer that you are a salesperson for another company. I would compare it more to like if you visit your friend and he has a new TV and the TV is amazing, and you ask him where he bought it and he tells you he ordered it at Amazon. Yeah. And then based on the trust that you have in your friend, maybe he has technical knowledge. So you ask him which TV you should buy. He tells you this and that one, and you go buy it. And just instead of like going to buy it, you use his link or whatever or voucher, and he will get a commission for that. Yeah, it doesn't change like his opinion about the device or service that he promoted or told you about. But in the end, like, you help out somebody else along the way. And I think if you do affiliate marketing, I mean, there's a million different ways to do affiliate marketing. Yeah. But if you do it with like building yourself as a brand where people know you, then you're not necessarily selling them the product like a salesperson, but basically people build a relationship with you and there's a certain level of trust. So when you like honestly, like out of all honesty, recommend them, okay, if you're in this situation, I would sign up for this service course, or I would buy or get this product, then it's more like between friends, like, okay, I really think you should get that TV, yeah, and not like a salesperson, oh, that's the best thing we have in store, yeah, grab
Yeah.
two.
That's a good distinction. And actually, that it just made me think of something that I learned while going through some sales training myself. It's more of becoming an assistant buyer, right? So like you said, you're just making a recommendation to, a friend or a person that that this is what I would buy if I was in this situation. You might want to try it out, and it becomes a much less pushy of a presentation in a way. So that's a good distinction for sure. You're just kind of like
That's
process.
a perfect way to say it, assistant buyer. It's also crucial when you start in affiliate marketing. You should not try to push product. When you're money focused, when you're only focused on the outcome for you, you will not have success. You need to be like you need to start it with a serving attitude, like really thinking about who needs that product, what benefit it brings to them, and based on that, recommend it to those people. And then eventually some of them will buy, some of them won't, but this is the way you will make money. If you try to just pitch it to them by like, oh, you need to buy this, without even considering if people actually need it, well, you will not have long-term success.
Yeah, I love that, man. Thanks for saying that too. It's absolutely right. You have to be coming with value first. And I always say this on the show is like, your business is all about your customer. It's all about providing a solution to their needs. You can't just look at it like, how can I make a bunch of money? Because the more you think about yourself first, the more you finish last, right? And you have to really be trying to provide a solution to people in need, not just shotgunning your thing out to everyone who's willing to listen, right? Because you're going to lose that attention really, really quickly. So so definitely really good insight, man. And kind of want to transition into the next topic, which is the work-life balance, and like how you manage running your business and keeping everything going while at the same time living a life that you actually enjoy and that fulfills you. So for you, Christian, like what are some strategies that you use in your life to manage everything?
That's a very tricky question. And while like I'm able to provide a lot of value for most people in like a lot of topics, that's one of the topics where it's going to be very hard to actually model my approach, because I honestly love what I'm doing. I truly love it. Like, it's not work for me. I'm at a point in my life where I love what I do so much that I do not need vacations. So it pretty much, my work-life balance consists of like, I get up in the morning without an alarm whenever I'm rested. And then I first like start the day very slowly by having a glass of water and relaxing a little bit, having breakfast. And then I turn on my computer and check my emails. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if we are like at home or if we are on vacation or somewhere, it's the same approach. Like when I feel that I want to work, or when I know that I have an idea, or I'm in a productive mindset, I just take my laptop and work. I never work when I have the feeling, oh my God, I need to do this. Then I just take a break. So it's like, because of the freedom that being an entrepreneur grants me, and also the desire to build something, I'm working quite a lot, I would say, but I don't perceive it as work. There's easily here and there weeks where I work way beyond 60 hours. Basically get up in the morning, breakfast routine and stuff like that, get in front of my computer and start working. And then like with, like lunch breaks and stuff like that, go to bed at like midnight or 2 a.m. and the next day goes the same. But I never, even those days, I never perceive it as work, because I found what I want to do, what I really enjoy doing. So, and when you reach that point, I think that's like something you cannot put a price tag on. Yeah. Like if somebody were to offer me, I don't know, like maybe $50,000 per month for like a job I don't like, I wouldn't change. I wouldn't make the change, because like that freedom, that knowing that whatever you do, you enjoy it, is priceless. Like that's like all the work-life balance you need. When you, of course, you need to separate between like what you really enjoy doing. Maybe it's like, I don't know, like knitting or painting or something, and it's going to be hard to make money with that. Well, then focus on something that can make you money and like work your ass off in the beginning. So again, to pay your monthly bills, so you can then lean back and do whatever you enjoy. So you don't need a work-life balance anymore. I think like when you love what you do, it's basically, I mean, of course, at night, my phone is silent and stuff like that. But even in the middle of the night, I maybe wake up and have an idea. I take my phone, I take my MacBook, and I don't consider it like, oh my God, now I have to deal with this or something. I enjoy it. I'm like, oh my God, how can I do this? Sometimes it's even hard to force myself to stop working if I'm like really on a run, you know, like. And on the other hand, there's then also here and there, like really like weeks where I say like, okay, now I'm like, basically there's nothing I need to do. Everything is stable and running. So I'm just relaxing more. I'm still working 1 or 2 hours per day, like here a little bit, there a little bit, but then I'm just enjoying life more. It's like,
Yeah,
I think your body tells you. Yeah.
I totally get that, and I can completely relate, because there are days where I'll be working, you know, all day, and I haven't even realized I haven't left the room. I haven't eaten. You know, like there's times where it's just, I mean, that's the beauty though, and the key is what you mentioned. Like you have to find something that you truly enjoy doing. You know, and I know it's a cliche, like if you enjoy or if you love the work that you're doing, it's not work, you know, but it is true. It's really true. Like there's truth to that. If you do enjoy what you're doing, it's easy to do it, and it's easy to spend a lot of time doing it, you know. One thing though, and I'm interested to see what your take is on this, is avoiding the burnout, because sometimes even when you're doing something that you truly enjoy, like when that's all that you do, it can become a little bit, you know, I guess overwhelming
Yeah,
to some degree, you know?
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Like very early, like I think when I was 19 or 20, I joined a financial network marketing company back then. Yeah, because I was also like, again, you need more money to be happy and stuff like that. And long story short, it went quite well, and we built like 2 offices, and I had like 25 people below me in a couple of months. So it was really going great. And the guy I built that with in our state went on vacation, so I had to take care of his team too. And after 2 weeks, he came back from vacation, and for some reason that day, where it was his first day back, I got up in the morning, but I didn't go to the office. Like I ignored all calls, and that was it for me. Like there was something in my head, like just was for me like, okay, that's it. Like I was like really burned out. Like then the couple months following after that, like 3 months or something like this, I burned through all my savings because I didn't make any money, like other than, you know, like commission gets then lower and lower if you don't motivate your team and stuff like that. And what eventually got me out of the burnout was actually my girlfriend back then, who suddenly realized that she doesn't love me anymore once she found out that I'm behind on the rent. Yeah. So coincident. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really needed that. That was for me the moment where like I got out of this like downward draft and decided, okay, I'm gonna like pick myself back up again. And then I went back into the IT field, and we started to create some online stores and stuff for clients, because there was paid immediately. Whereas the financial consulting, if I would have sold you an insurance or something, I would have only gotten paid like 2 months afterwards, but I needed money because I burned through my savings. And then doing this, like basically side by side, because I was still tempted by the lot of money that I made in the financial consulting. And after like 2 months or something, or 1.5 months, I realized, well, I can sit at home in my boxer shorts in front of my laptop and make back then my 35 euro per hour, so roughly $40 back then per hour. Or I can like deal the whole day with idiots and basically lie to people. I don't like lie to I know people that will fail, and oh, you can do it, just call more people and stuff like that. And also deal with a lot of dishonest people that were like, oh, we're so glad you're back. But I knew while I was gone, they were like, oh, I knew he will fail. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have made more money, but back then I made the decision like, oh no, like sitting at home, it's more comfortable. So I still make more than enough money to enjoy life. So that's when I made the switch. Yeah. But that's when I had my first burnout. And for some reason, for me, it works perfectly fine. Again, the one factor that I love what I do, and the other factor my body tells me, like I feel it when I'm not in the mood for, or not in the mood, but when I don't have the energy for working, or when it gets too much, I somehow feel it, and I just automatically like restructure my schedule to have a day or two like of like minimum work, like only what I want to do. Yeah.
Um,
So
nice. Yeah, I
that's
love it, man.
also.
It's self-awareness, and it's just listening, like you say, listen to your body, and really creating alignment in the work that you're doing and the things that you love. Because, if they're not aligned, then it's going to be really tough, and you will end up, burning out, like you mentioned. And that's awesome, man. And I love to hear your story and how you sort of dealt with those difficulties, because it gives inspiration to those that are in that spot now, that are in the job that they just are frustrated with. And it's like, you just have to seek other opportunities. You have to do something. You have to try things in order to figure out what it is that's going to work for you. So I appreciate all of that, man. And Christian, it's been a blast. I got to know, what do you do other than working on your business? Like, what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I go-kart driving. I love driving motorbikes. Yeah, like that's pretty much my biggest hobbies, like go-kart and motorbikes. Although in the Ukraine, I cannot drive motorbikes. So for that, we usually, when we're in Germany, we just take a bike and
Oh,
enjoy.
I'm a big
Yeah.
time rider too. Why can't you ride? Right? Why can't you ride there?
Well, you haven't seen the roads in the Ukraine, yeah.
Oh
Like
yeah.
so, it's kind of like imagine like a pothole, but it's big enough that the bike and you disappear inside.
Oh
Yeah,
wow. Wow.
and they're really bad with the roads here. So like it's yeah, and
Okay.
then just like in Thailand, also like their ambulance is not like really fast or great. So the risk here is like so much higher than in driving in Germany or something like that. Yeah.
That's
So.
awesome. Well, good deal, man. Well, Christian, it's been a blast having you on, dude. I appreciate your time today. I do have one more question for you, which is, looking back from where you're at today and all the experience that you've gained and everything that you've been through, what is some advice that you would give yourself maybe 5 or 10 years ago?
5 or 10 years ago, buy Bitcoin. Yeah, like that would be the advice that I would give me, like based on that. But other than that, I don't know. Actually, I would give myself the advice to focus more on passive income, because I actually pretty much in that time window was building kind of like plugins or slash apps for a European e-commerce solution. And I spent a couple months developing some of them, and it already started summing up to like $1,200 every month coming in licensing fees. And back then I got one client that wanted to work with me and was offering me a lot of money for me back then. Yeah. And I made a mistake in seeing this big one-time payment and accepting it and then neglecting the work on those plugins. Yeah. So that project took longer than expected, and then clients didn't continue or didn't renew their licenses for the plugins because they weren't updated. I still got for a couple of months like $1,000 per month for these plugins, but my reputation for like maintaining the plugins was a little damaged, and that was really like, yeah, like I would honestly just like focus. Keep your day jobs. If you want to start a business, like keep your day jobs. I know it sucks, and I know you have to then like in your spare time work on your business, but focus on building something that really brings you a passive income, some stuff where you have monthly commission coming in or membership fees or whatever, and do that until they cover your cost of living, and then you can build whatever it is you want, because then you don't have the pressure of I need more money. And that's what it all comes back to. If you think about a burnout, why do people burn out? They need to work more to have more money. Yeah. When you think about unhappiness, they still, like, again, you mentioned it's the mindset, but they have the mindset that, okay, if they would have that Lamborghini, if they would have that Rolex, if they would fly first class, they would be happier. And they constantly have that pressure about the money. So solve your main money problem first. Make sure to build something while you're still working that pays your regular bills, even if it means downsizing. Like nothing worth having comes easy. If you want to live like $1 million lifestyle, well, at first you need to also.
Oh man.
Hello?
Uh-oh.
Sorry?
Hey, sorry
Yeah.
about that. It just cut out.
Yeah. Yeah. So where did I cut out? Yeah.
Oh man, it was perfect right up until the end. You were talking about if you want to build, a business on the side, don't quit your job. Like start, doing
Yeah.
something on the side.
So you got everything or?
Yeah, well, pretty much, man. I hate that happened
Yeah,
because
yeah, but yeah, it's
you're
yeah,
telling the
it
story. Yeah,
happens. That's like technology.
yeah, it is what it is. But there you have it, guys. Definitely invest in Bitcoin if you could have like 5 years ago. And it's funny, you're not the first person who said that because when I asked that
Well, it's
question,
the obvious choice.
yeah, it's an obvious choice, right? For sure. But yeah, no, for sure. Like, don't just throw yourself off a cliff. If you have a job and if you have steady income coming now, use that, and then on the side start to build something and leverage, the facilities that you have and the resources that you have to create passive income that can then replace your income from your job. And then at that point, you're off to the races. So Christian, thank you so much again for all your advice and all your tips. Tell us, everybody, where they can find you and what you got going on in your world right now.
Yeah, so first of all, it's totally been my pleasure to share a little bit of my experience with you and your audience. If you're curious of like getting in touch with me or learning what I'm doing, the best way to do this is actually to join my Facebook group, because there I'm constantly sharing what I'm doing and what I discover along the way. And there you actually get the possibility to ask me directly the questions you need answers to. You can find it simply, the easiest way would be if you head to christianrauchenwald.com, and there scroll down, there's then going to be a Facebook button, and you click on it and it takes you to the Facebook page, and there is then the group as well. So it's quite easy to manage if you can write my name or spell my name.
Awesome, 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 man. Well, I will definitely leave links for all of that in the show notes down below. You guys go check out Christian, follow him on his journey, and definitely pick his brain because he is killing it right now in his business. So Christian, thank you again for being on the show and sharing your stories with us, man. It's been a blast, and I guess we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great time.